Greetings, dear friends. This is Father Joseph Royan, a Redemptorist from the province of Bangalore, based in Rome, and I have the privilege of having with me Remi Herbert from the Canadian province, currently working for the Conference of North America in formation at San Antonio in Texas. A very warm welcome, Remi.
Well, thank you very much. A joy to be here together.
It's a joy to have you with us and to share some of your experience of being a Redemptorist. So let's start with your vocation story. What inspired you to be a Redemptorist and about the ministry that you're involved in?
Absolutely. So I've been a Redemptorist for over 30 years now.
Wow.
And I'm born and raised in Canada in a city named Edmonton, called Edmonton. And as I was growing up, very much connected to church, our family was, but I never thought about becoming a priest. And all of a sudden, I was at Mass one day. I was about 20 years of age. And I remember the church. It was not a Redemptorist church. And just thinking, wow, maybe I can do what he's doing up there. And just started looking at religious orders. My uncle, who's since passed away, was a priest from the Archdiocese. And so priests in the Archdiocese knew my family. And I had never heard of any religious life. But then one of the priests said, well, you should look into religious life. And so I first went to the Oblates, and I thought, oh, wow, this is for me. I like this. And then I went to the Franciscans, and I said, no, this is where I belong. And lastly, I went to the Redemptorists. I was looking for another religious order, and I realized, this is where I really belong with the Redemptorists. And so I did my formation in Toronto, Canada, and I lived in Canada doing ministry all my life in Canada, vocation work, but really for many, many years now doing parish ministry, which I love very, very much. And now just new to formation ministry, and I love that equally as well.
Oh, Remi, thank you for taking us through your vocation story. You said that when you joined the Redemptorists, you felt that this is where you belonged. What was it about the Redemptorists that attracted you?
I think it was really, I have to think about that for a moment, but without question, I think it was community. From the very beginning, as we say now, as it's in our documents, community is so important to us. And I caught that.
Okay.
I not only did I hear that, but I saw that. And so I would say community. With community then, I learned a little bit more about the mission. And, through my years in parish ministry and what I hope to share with our students is how vital that ministry is. And the initial thing would have been community life.
Wow.
A young fella in his mid-20s, community is very important.
That's amazing. Remi, you come from the Canadian province, and could you take us through, for our audience, some of the wonderful works that your confreres are involved in the Canadian province and some of the challenges you faced, especially during the time of pandemic?
Yeah, okay. Well, calling ourselves the Canadian province is relatively new. Up until fairly recent, we were the Edmonton-Toronto province, so English-speaking Canada, the Saint-Anne-de-Beaupré province, which is French-speaking Canada, and the Yorkton province, which is ministering to the Ukrainian Catholics in Canada. Recently, we've become one province, and growing into that more, where we no longer consider ourselves being 3 regions in one province. It's very much one province. And so some of the exciting work is, say, in Saint-Anne-de-Beaupré, a huge shrine dedicated to Saint Anne. I've been there a number of times. The Yorkton province, ministering to people of the Eastern Rite, Ukrainian Catholic. And they have a shrine as well. And so it's exciting. My Edmonton-Toronto region, we've worked in many parishes, have moral theology, partnership in mission. And so really quite evident that we're not afraid to try many different things in order that the good news of the gospel is preached, and preached to the abandoned, the poor. We have quite a dedication to young adult ministry, and that always has given me life as well.
From what I gather, Remi, is that your province also has a very strong lay partners in mission. Could you tell us something about how you go about collaborating together?
Yes, please. Ann Walsh works in our province. We know Ann Walsh, and we respect her a great deal, of course. And she's known internationally as well. So how that comes to life on the local level is in most of our parishes, and all the parishes I've been in, we have lay collaborators, or Redemptorist associates, we also call them. And so they're part of our mission. Most often they're all active in the parish we're in. And then we gather, and it's important that we gather in our residence, in our home. We're not gathering, 100 people in the parish hall. We're gathering, in the case where I was most recently in Grand Prairie, with 14 or 16 in our home. We look at different ways of Redemptorist life with them. Talk about our saints and get to know St. Alphonsus and St. Gerard and all of our saints. And really, they're the people I could always count on in the parish. Whatever we needed, they would do. So, of course, in a large parish, you have a lot more people than that quite involved. But yeah, Redemptorist associates, a very important part of our ministry.
Remi, I was a formator back in my province, and you've been very active in parish ministry.
Yes.
And to make that switch to formation wasn't an easy one, and I'm sure it was difficult.
Yes.
Could you tell us or share with us some of the challenges of being a formator and the context of today in terms of the challenge of getting vocations and formation?
Well, appreciate that question, and I'm very new in formation. I left Grand Prairie on July 26th and started in San Antonio, Texas on July 27th. So and I love parish ministry very much. So, but I also love formation ministry as well. Again, very new to this. It's a very steep learning curve. I'm, taking different courses and want to take more courses. Being in San Antonio, I want to take some Spanish, and but it's a whole different thing. And one of the courses I took reminded me, and I hold this very dearly. Formation ministry is about accompaniment, and just walking with these Redemptorists. They're all vowed Redemptorists. Have to keep that in mind. But walking with these Redemptorists as they go from taking first vows. They're all in vows. And I accompany them as they prepare for final vows and a life of ministry. Some ordained, some as brothers. But it's an honor, and I love it very much. I'm not bored in any way. I'm busy all the time, and I really appreciate, I work with another Redemptorist priest, Father Binta, and we spend a significant amount of time in conversation and meeting together and planning together. And the students notice that. They tell us they notice that. And so even in that regard, I'm pleased in what we're conveying to the students, to the seminarians.
I wish you well, Remi, in your role as a formator.
Thank you.
It's a huge responsibility and a great service to our congregation.
Yeah.
As one Redemptorist to another, the recently concluded General Chapter of the Redemptorist Congregation spoke about the difficult times that we are in. And that's how we came with the theme, Missionaries of Hope.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be missionaries of hope in the context of today, especially with secularism, with scandals that's rocked the church, with clericalism? How do you see that, and what is the hope that you could bring to the students in formation?
Very appropriate question. Oh, I really appreciate that, what the General Chapter gave us, being missionaries of hope. I often think about how much we have in common with the early church. The early church, their context was living in places where their culture did not know Jesus Christ. We have a lot in common. And so that's why I hang on to very much that image of missionaries of hope. A couple things from Alphonsus that I think inspires our hope. Of course, one of his important themes was the cross. I like to expand that image to Paschal mystery. And the other image is Eucharist, the altar. So if I can explain a little bit how these inspire me so very much. Paschal mystery, that's what we celebrate at Easter. That's the heart of our faith. And that's what our culture needs. Because if we look for hope in our phones or online,
it's not there.
It's not there. It won't give us hope. And so Paschal mystery, the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, is really our hope. This is what I live in my life, and this is what I want to inspire among our seminarians. And so I always look at Paschal mystery in two ways. One of them, and it's really the opposite sides of the same coin, the first one is after death there's always new life.
Yeah.
That would be the theme really, or what I bring up in any number of ways at every funeral. And that's where we encounter a loss of hope sometimes. I remember in one of the parishes I was in, and this would be among the saddest of funerals. It was a young mom who died suddenly and left 3 children. You can't start talking about, well, that's God's will or something. No, this is Paschal mystery. After death, there's always new life. The way I see that in my own life, little background, both my parents are gone now. And I hold on to Paschal mystery and say, yeah, after death there's always new life. And in the case of Jesus, so we believe it's our case as well, physical new life. So I'll hear my mom's contagious laughter again.
Yeah.
I'll be sitting at the table with my dad, playing cards as we always did. And so a missionary of hope believes in new life.
Yeah.
But then there's the opposite side of the same coin. So the first one is a missionary of hope says, yes, after death there's always new life. But then the opposite is true. And I saw this in the parish all the time. After death there's always new life, yes. But then without death there's never new life.
Yeah.
And I would see that in the parish. People would come and talk. And maybe in many cases they'd be in the grips of addiction, any sort of addiction. May it be alcohol, may it be any kind of medication or anything. And they would come and talk, and they were lost. And bring them to that point of Paschal mystery where they say, yeah, something needs to die. And it's only with Jesus Christ that something can die so that I experience new life. And it's not limited to addictions, not at all. That's a huge one. But, sometimes we carry anger. And without asking Jesus to help me let this die, I won't experience new life. Sometimes we have expectations of ourselves or other people. And we know that needs to die before I'll experience new life. So, when Alphonsus talks about cross, that's a huge part of being a missionary of hope, because Paschal mystery is that. And I'm thankful to Alphonsus for bringing that to my attention. And then the other thing that Alphonsus gives us as being missionaries of hope is the Eucharist. Again, talking about, Paschal mystery. On the way to communion, as you prepare to receive, prepare to hear those beautiful words, body of Christ. I think sometimes, okay, Jesus, tell my mom I love her. Tell my dad I think of him often. And I believe Jesus will relay that message without doubt. That's what gives me hope. Same thing, going to communion and preparing my heart. Yeah, bring to mind what needs to die before I can experience new life. And know that with the gift of the Eucharist, I will find healing. That's Jesus' specialty, if I can use that phrase. But missionaries of hope. I'm very grateful to the General Chapter for our congregation, and I really believe I need to teach that to our students, that they are missionaries of hope.
Thank you so much, Remi, for your profound interpretation of what it means to be missionaries of hope, to bring life, new life. As John Paul II would speak about the culture of death and to bring life in the context of the culture of death. And that's a profound responsibility and a task that's laid on to us Redemptorists by the General Chapter. Request your prayers to your audience that we may truly be missionaries of hope, bringing life wherever we go, whatever we do. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, Father Remi, and my best wishes and prayers for you in your wonderful ministry as a formator, sowing seeds of hope.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, thank you so much, Al.
And God bless you.
God bless. Thank you.
And God bless you, dear friends.
Thank you.